Hello, hello. Orientation is locked. Rotate device back. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. I genuinely don't know what that means. Okay. So it looks like I have to stay here, which is fine. Reporting live from my bedroom. How about that? Okay. I don't know why I'm nervous. I get nervous every time. Like every single time I go live or record a video, period. But nevertheless, we are here. The message must be shared. And yeah, excuse me. Happy Sunday, everyone. This is me. As you can see, we are in my room today. My baby is under the weather this week. It started on Friday. So um, we just been in coast mode all weekend, which is cool. Just nursing him back to health and just kind of relaxing, which has been good for me because it allows me to relax as well. So, I mean, outside of having slight anxiety about, just making sure my baby's okay, but we had our Sunday service here online and I did my prayer journal. So I know my son is in the Lord's hands. Not COVID, thank you, Heavenly Father. It seems like it's just a really bad cold that came out of nowhere. Tip to parents, if your child is sick, please leave them at home. Please. It affects other people. If you didn't know that. Some people are just oblivious to other people in the world. Anyway, welcome back, Love Muffins. Happy Sunday. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I am Victoria of the Victoria Lee's World and all things self, Victoria Lee, family fun. This is where you come to capture that. Mini series on my channel that I started. It's called Therapy Revelations. The Journey Continues, Therapy Revelations. I share revelations that help me on my healing journey, my growing journey, because it's it's also more than just healing. It's healing, growing, learning about yourself, learning about others, navigating through what your future looks like, identifying who you are, and the things that you want to be. So that's the journey that I am currently on, and I felt like it would be helpful. I'm not going to say I felt like. Um, I was shown that sharing my purpose, sharing my journey is my purpose. Sorry, sharing my journey is my purpose, and my goal is to help someone who might need a little advice, needs to see another person who is experiencing and going through maybe the same hurdles and struggles in life. And so sharing my testimony will help the next person. And I know that it will, because that's just how life is set up and how it's meant to be. So I've expanded my outlook, my tips, my testimony outside of my circle, and I'm now opening up to as many people as possible. So, boom, episode 3. Oh, and so I'm also navigating through the right platform to use, right? So, you all know I'm a mom, I have a 9 to 5 job. Um, Being a content creator is not, it's a hobby, if you would. My goal is not to, this be my full-time thing. Like I said, I just want to share the life of an everyday woman, with other people, especially in the world of false identities, false pretenses of what everyday life is for the average person. So I'm navigating which platforms to use. Editing is a full-time job. Capturing content is a full-time job. I'm finding that going live is a little bit more my speed. I can get the content out there and not necessarily have to worry about it being perfect, aesthetically pleasing. The goal is just to get the message out there. If the Lord has something more for me, or this is something that I need to, that will come at a later date. Just do it, with anything in life. Just do it. Just go for it. It doesn't need to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfection, okay? In order for you to protect your craft, you have to continue to do it. Boom. Message for you all. So anyway, welcome back. Hey, y'all. Episode 3, change in values, okay? So this episode is going to be about, I don't know why I keep jumping around. And this is the reason why most people edit their videos so you don't see the bloopers in the background. But we're live, so here you go. So I've also shared, I've gone live on my Instagram page with a couple of my therapy revelations as well, to share, other revelations that I have experienced. It just so happens that it's episode 3 on YouTube, but I've done 2 episodes over on Instagram. So if you do not follow me on Instagram, it's the.Victoria.Lee on Instagram, and you can catch my lives over there. I've done a live on Remembering Love, and The Beginning, an episode titled The Beginning, Self-Awareness and Self-Accountability. So feel free to jump over there. This has rolled into episode 3 for YouTube, but it also is directly connected to one of the episodes I did on my Instagram live, which was Remembering Love and the value of love. So that is the reason why I'm doing this live now, and why it's titled Change in Values, because I got a couple questions on Instagram that I referenced an assignment in therapy that I had to do about, and the assignment was rating what I valued. So my therapist gave me 34 values that I had, and I had to pick 10 that were my top 10, and then I had to rate those top 10 from most important to least important. And I realized that in the midst of doing that project, a lot of questions came up. One of them is specifically love again, which is why we did the live about remembering love. But in that session, combing through my homework assignment, we discussed values and the change in values that come when you start your healing journey, your growing journey, and just as you evolve, even if you're not really working on, healing from anything, or you don't have anything to heal from, as we go through life, our values often change, right? And several different areas of our lives. Our values in our career change, our values in terms of your romantic relationships, your platonic relationships, your relationships with your children, if you have children, your relationships with your siblings and your parents, and the relationship with yourself. Those values change over time as we mature and get older. What we value starts to shift, right? And as those things shift, sometimes we don't necessarily know that that's what's happening to us, that our values are changing. And you find yourself at a crossroads to where you are confused, or you don't know, you struggle with identifying who you are and what's important to you now, and why you no longer like doing the things that you used to do. That's because your values are changing. And so that was one of the assignments that we had to go through in my therapy session. And it was very revealing for me. And so I'm just going to share some of the questions that I was asked, that I actually, that led into additional assignments, and really taking a deep dive into myself and identifying who I am, who I'm not, right? Because that's also important. Once your values change, you start to realize that you're not the same person anymore. And you have to learn the new version of yourself because your values have changed. And so that's a little scary and hard sometimes too. Handy dandy book. I feel like everybody's like, girl, I don't play when it comes to my therapy sessions. I take my notes. I take it very seriously. The homework, it's challenging for me, but I need it, you know, because again, life was changing and evolving for me, but I really just didn't understand why, and I didn't know how to navigate it. Just being completely honest, I just didn't know how to do it. And it's hard, and you do need help. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need a therapist. Um, um, but sometimes we do need that additional help, that additional guidance. We need, space, that space to be able to just talk and vent and not feel judged, and actually have someone ask you those challenging questions. Even if it's not a challenging question, just ask you questions that, might trigger you to, go a little deeper, look a little deeper within yourself, and, ask yourself some important questions. So I'm going to share those questions with you, and hopefully it will help you. So, the first question that I had to ask myself was, what makes me valuable? What do I think makes me valuable um, to others, right? Because unfortunately, we associate our value with other people and how they value us. So I had to navigate through what, you know, what made me valuable to other people, right? And so once you identify what makes you valuable to other people, you start to look at yourself like, but you start to realize that there's other attributes about you that make you valuable, that you don't walk in every day. Um, and that was very comforting, because it allowed me to see that I'm so much more than what other people see me as, right? I'm so much more than being strong. I'm so much more than being financially responsible. I'm so much more than being a protector. I'm so much more than being a provider. I'm so much more than being a fixer. I am goofy. I am emotional. I am loving. I am fun. I am soft. I am affectionate. Um, I am needy. A lot of stuff. I don't have to know everything. It's okay for me not to be okay. So once I started to identify the other areas of what makes me valuable, this is the whew of these sessions. In those moments, I realized that what others placed on me as me being valuable wasn't for my benefit, it was for their benefit, right? So, and I saw this very short snippet. I forgot what his name is. He's a pastor, but it sticks with me. He said, people will use what they know about you to drain you. So, people know me to be a provider, a fixer, someone who's just going always, that's a part of me. I care about other people, their feelings, and doing whatever I can to make life a little easier for others, right? But people will take advantage of that. People did take advantage of that, and it was very draining for me. And it was very hard for me to realize that, because the people who did it the most were the people closest to me. And then you start to realize that, not realize, as time goes on and you're doing this, the value that you place on those on those relationships, those connections, start to diminish over time, because you start to realize that they only value me because I'm beneficial. So once you set up your healthy boundaries and start saying no, and you're no longer accessible, or your values are no longer, what makes you valuable is no longer accessible to everyone, you'll see how many people, you know, replace you with someone else who isn't who isn't aware that they're way more valuable than what people make them be. You know what I mean? They're more valuable than what this one thing that is more beneficial for them and not necessarily for you. Because I had to realize, me being strong and me being always available and easily accessible doesn't benefit me. It's draining me. I'm tired. I don't get any time to myself, because the free time that I have for myself, I'm giving to other people. You know what I mean? Or allowing people into your, or allowing people to pour all of this negativity onto you, and it really does bother your spirit. You start to um, partake in, things, activities. Just start doing things that just don't make you feel good about yourself. It starts to lessen your internal value of yourself, right? So that was really hard for me to navigate through. And it was also hard for me to witness the transition, because it was a transition. Me learning and accepting the other values that make me who I am triggered me to disconnect from the things that just didn't bring me, that weren't valuable for me. And that was really hard for me. So, yes, that's the question you want to ask yourself. What makes you valuable to others, and is it healthy for you? Is what they value so much about you, is it beneficial for you or for them? And is it healthy for you? Okay? That was a challenge. Now, what you value, right? Does it align with where you're going, right? So, before this, I really valued, like, making sure I was successful in all areas of my life, making sure I was a good sister, making sure I am a good daughter, making sure like the perfect mom, making sure I'm the perfect employee, overachiever, just always overachieving, trying to, always outdo myself. And don't get me wrong, having that me versus me mentality is not unhealthy. It's just What values are you competing for internally? Because that could be unhealthy for you. Trying to be everything for everybody every day is not healthy. Trying to be the perfect employee at work every day is not healthy. There's no such thing as perfection. There's no handbook on being a perfect parent. There's no handbook on how to be the perfect co-parent. There's no handbook on how to be the perfect friend. There's just no such thing as that, you know? And for me, my biggest struggle was that I'm my worst critic. I hold myself to a very high standard. And it's very hard. It's very hard. I was always very critical of myself. I never really enjoyed life, the moment. It was always, I have to do this in order to get where I need to go. And it's nothing wrong with that. But you have to take time to recognize yourself, where you are in the moment, right? And allow yourself to be present. I've learned that in order to be a good mom, sometimes your presence, your true presence, is more valuable than being able to provide them with a 3-4 bedroom house, right? Um, creating a space where they can be vulnerable to grow and evolve as life goes, as they get older, is way more valuable than being the disciplinary in the household. Don't get me wrong. Everyone needs discipline, everyone needs structure, but you also need space for imperfections. That's necessary. You know what I mean? Because especially in today's world, today's society, raising a child where, the internet is enough in itself, where they feel like they have to be perfect. You know what I mean? Not having the space to talk to your parent and say, Mom, I'm not okay. You know, that's that's a part of perfect parenting. You know what I mean? Creating that space. And the same thing goes for your friendships. Creating a space for them to be vulnerable and not feel judged. You know, the worst thing to me is having a friend who is holding back how they feel because you make them feel uncomfortable. That's the worst feeling in the world. To not be able to share whatever it is with your friend, that's it's so hard to have to do. And then it's like, well, what if you are that person that makes someone else feel that way? And I know I have. It's also been done to me, and I know I have been that person before. You know what I mean? I'm just as hard on my friends. I used to be just as hard on my friends as I am on myself. And that's not okay. So as I'm going through my healing journey and my process, I realize that the things that I used to value, I now need to change in order for me to receive and be who I want to be to other people. That's how that works. I want to be a good friend, but I want to be a good friend in the sense of emotionally, spiritually. Everyone doesn't need me to fix things or fix them. I want to have a relationship with my son that I am his best friend. You know what I mean? I want that. I want to be reliable at work, but I also want my time and my emotions and, my goals to be respected and valued just as much as the product as what I produce. And so that that is why she said, does what you value now align with where you're trying to go? Because if it doesn't, you need to change those things. It's going to be a struggle getting to where you want to go if your values don't align with your goals, and that's necessary. You know, success was something I valued the most, and my version of success was financial freedom, financial growth, um, being a provider, and just having a ton of goals to accomplish. That used to be my those used to be my values, and now I want to be successful in how I show up for my family, how I show up for myself, how I show up for my friends, how I show up for my health, my mental space, my connection with God. Those values have all shifted. Those are now my top priorities, my values. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not going to say that. As you hear, those are my values, but they all still align with what I used to value. It's what inside of those goals I value most, right? Because my heart is in a different place. My mentality is in a different place when it comes to those different categories. I can be a successful career woman and value the person, value me internally. Because if I feel good about myself, if I feel great about myself, if I think well about myself, I show up at my greatest at work. My work is still top tier. My production is still top tier. And now, because I'm accepting these different values and learning how to walk in those values, now I'm not so closed off and so goal focused. I'm more open to receiving the things that I need to do to stay balanced and to grow, right? Which helps us at work. It helps us with your family. It helps us with your parenting, with your friends in other areas, being consistent and disciplined with, losing weight if that's one of the things you want to do. You're valuing your health, valuing, your skincare or growing your hair, whatever it is. Shifting your values connects to several different areas of your life. Several different areas of your life. So it's really all about your mindset and how you see it, how you view it, right? So that's question number 2. Does it align? Does the shift in your values align with where you are now and where you're trying to go? That's question 2. Now, this was the revelation that took me out. It took me out. My therapist said something that was very powerful, and she said to me, not every every reward is not going to always be tangible. Now let's unpack that, right? So, when boom, you set a goal, or your value is, you set a goal to yourself that I'm gonna, let me give y'all a good one to unpack. Okay, let's say work, right? And this is a real life example for me. My career has been 85-90% attached to production, producing results, right? And now my career, my my value is attached to my input, my thoughts, my recommendations, my feedbacks. That's where my value lies, my mental expertise. And it's not a result driven career path, right? And so that has been a struggle for me because I can't track my growth. It's not tangible. I can't see this. And this is in my mind. And so I'm like, how am I supposed to get rewarded, with my performance rating? How do you get rewarded for something that's not tangible? I'm not producing numbers. I'm not processing this amount of different requests. I'm not answering this many emails because now my value is attached to attending meetings, speaking as a subject matter expert, and giving my professional recommendation. And it's been a struggle to really learn how to do that. The same thing goes with my son, right? As a parent, it's like he's still a wonderful kid. AB honor roll has been his whole life, but as he grows and time goes on, those are things that he's proud of himself for doing. So now I don't feel like it's a tangible reward for me as a mom. It's now a tangible reward for my son. It's not tangible for me. And so as I'm going through this journey, I realized that him him coming and talking to me about something that I never imagined him coming to talk to me about is so rewarding. But it's not tangible. It's not something that I would share with someone else because it was a conversation that he felt safe to have with me. And so relearning that everything, every value isn't going to always be tangible has been a little hurdle for me, but I'm learning it and I'm loving it. The same thing goes with love. That's been like my biggest struggle. My biggest struggle and my biggest hurdle is learning how to love and accept love and changing how I value love has been a struggle. But because I am open and growing and I value learning and growing. That's my value right now. That's one of my top values is evolving as a woman. I'm learning so much about life, myself, my friends, my career, my kid, my health. I learned that, girl, you can't eat a lot of seafood, girl. You got a couple allergies to shellfish, okay? Didn't know that. Um, so a change in values, my change in values have changed every part of my life drastically. Um, I value my alone time a lot. Like there was a point in time this year, not years ago, this year to where I could not see myself alone. And when I say alone, I don't mean I don't have anyone around me. I mean, like relationship wise, romantically wise. I never imagined being single at 36 years old and this being the peak. Now, I'm not even going to say the peak. This being one of my most memorable times of genuinely being happy, you know, because being in a relationship, having a partner is no longer, it doesn't make me feel any more or less valuable than being alone. Um, I value myself, my self worth so much more that I'm not willing to accept or lower my standards for anything or anyone, even for myself. Yes, it's unhealthy to be extremely hard on yourself, but discipline and consistency with yourself is going to get you to where you need to be. Being consistent and disciplined with my therapy sessions, with my prayer journaling, um, all of that has gotten me to this point to where I'm comfortable sharing this. I used to never talk. No one ever really knew how I really felt or if I was even going through anything. And it's not okay. You know what I mean? Because again, it creates an environment for your friends and your family that you are perfect. So if they have things that they're going through, they feel like I can't take my imperfections to the perfect person, but I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? I'm not perfect. I'm not always okay. I don't always have the mental and emotional capacity to hear what you're going through today. I have tendencies of being judgmental. It's perfectly okay to not and it's like it's your time. Changing your values will changes your mindset about life um, in a good way. I don't, I always plug it in that, hey, PSA, this is not going to be a fun and easy journey, but it feels good. And knowing and learning how to accept the change is what gets you through it. Accepting it because it's okay. We're expected to evolve. That's an expectation. You're expected to grow. You're expected to challenge yourself. You're expected to challenge the people around you. Once you're at a job and you just don't feel challenged at your job, what do? You seek out something more challenging or rewarding because now you don't, you value something different. A change in values is inevitable in every aspect of life. When you go from being a single woman, single man, a single person to being a married person, when you go from being just a daughter and a sister and a cousin to now being a mother, your values change. You value your time differently. You value your sleep differently. You value the content that you um, allow into your mind. That changes. You start reading more about getting prepared to being a parent. You proofing your house. The values of your house is like, okay, well, now I need a bigger space. Bigger space comes with more income. More income comes with more education. So now, you're changing the things that you value in order to fit where you are and where you're going. Life is precious, even when it comes down to loss. And this is a very touchy subject, but you value life when you lose someone. It's a change in values. You value, you learn to value the present more before it becomes a memory. Oh my God, I don't want to get emotional, but a change in values is inevitable and you have to learn how to accept it. And it's a process, but it's a rewarding process. A, a rewarding process that sometimes is not going to always be tangible. And that's okay too. You know, how you feel when you wake up every day. That's not something that you can touch, but it is something that you feel and something that you can give to someone else. It will shift someone else's entire day when you show up in a good space, when you show up positive, when you show up, you know, optimistic. You know what I mean? When you let go of judgment, it's not tangible. People can't see that you're not going to judge them. They can feel it. And again, feelings are not tangible. Only you feel that. Other people don't see that. It's not tangible on the outside world to the naked eye, but it's just as rewarding and just as impactful. So those were the one, two, three, yeah, 3 or 4 questions, and I'm gonna rolling back. I'm rolling back real quick. What makes you valuable? This is question one. What makes you valuable to others? What is your interpretation or understanding of what makes you valuable to other people? Is what they value about you beneficial for you or for them? And is it healthy for you? Question three, your change in values or your current values, excuse me. Question three, your current values, do they align with where you are right now in life and where you're going? Okay? I'm very proud of myself. I did not start crying. I hope this was very helpful and clarifying for someone. It has been for me. And thank you all for watching. I hope to see you all again. Will I be here next Sunday at 12? I don't know. Follow me on Instagram. I always share when I'm going live and the topic of our therapy revelations on Instagram and on Twitter. Again, the Victoria Lee on all social media platforms. Thank you so much for supporting. Have a blessed week. Be kind. Be gracious.